The only social media that you should be engaged in is something that you naturally use anyways in your own personal life because you want to, not because you feel like you're forced into it. So if you're not normally on Facebook, then don't worry about Facebook. Maybe try it out and see if it's something that you would use personally, but I wouldn't use anything business-wise unless you're also using it personally, and even if you weren't in business, you would continue using personally. Good news about challenges is that everyone faces them, and as you address each one or learn from each one, that's something that would-be competitor would also have to one day go through and figure out. And so if there were no challenges in your business, then you would have 1,001 competitors and there would be no way for you to stand out. Basically build in slack time to your day or your week, because there's the nature of being an entrepreneur, there's always going to be random fires that need to be put out, and if you don't have any slack time, then you won't be able to address them when they do come up. Slack time is not only good for putting out fires, but also thinking about what's the long-term vision of the company and longer-term projects. And it's very easy to get caught up in just the day-to-day stuff that needs to get done, and that usually comes at the expense of actually building your company to be something that's worthwhile long-term. Nothing ever turns out the way you expect it to, so I would say don't plan too much. Instead, it's much more important just to act quickly, and most importantly, just adapt to whatever happens. And so don't get too wed to your original idea or set of ideas, but see how customers react, and then continue to improve your product or service, or change it completely based on how they react. And there's a quote by Charles Darwin that goes something like, "It's not the fastest or strongest of species that survives, it's the one that's most adaptable to change." And I think the same is true for business. I try to think either a year ahead or 10 years ahead, but not really anything in between. Just think about where do you want to be in a year, and break it down and just progress, have each day be a step towards that. But then also think about the long-term vision of what you're trying to do, and just make sure that the choices you make are actually more in that direction. Definitely stay open-minded. Don't get too set in your ideas or your ways, but really listen to your customers and listen to your employees.